everybody, what's going on? Jim Surrill, Tanya Klein here from Coverage Inc., the leader in screenplay analysis, development, and editing services for over 20 years. Actually, 24 years this month. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, how are ya?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. What wisdom do we have to impart to the masses today?
Yes, well, today we're going to talk about how to tell if a rep is a good fit for you or not. So, so number one, everyone watching this video is now going to say, what do you mean? I just want to get signed.
Yeah,
I don't
any
care.
Any rep is the best fit, right?
Any rep that wants to sign me, yay. So, yes,
Okay.
and there's absolutely, wisdom in that attitude. We understand, we get it, yes.
Yeah.
However,
Right.
so there are some pros and cons to people. I mean, there are some things you should look out for. For example, everyone, at least most writers, dream of being signed by one of the big 3-letter agencies. Yay!
Yay.
So that might actually not be the best thing for you if you are, new screenwriter just starting out without any big connections and who may have gotten into that big 3-letter agency because a friend is repped there and they said, okay, I want you to, take this person on. And the reason why that's not the best thing for you necessarily is that the big agencies have a ton of clients.
Yep.
And they will spend the majority or all of their time on the big earners. Of course, that's where the big money comes from.
Right.
And you are kind of just like there. And I mean, you might be on the
You're
books.
on a list.
Yeah,
you're on a list.
Yeah. And then worse, if you do the hustle, you bring in a couple of deals.
Yep.
They will take commission off of the work that you bring in for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So all of that I've experienced. And so there's this old joke that I've also lived. It's totally true, where basically if you go to a party in Hollywood, 80% of the people at that party are going to be screenwriters complaining that their agent isn't getting them any work. And the other 20% will be screenwriters asking those other people if they could get them into that agency. Okay. So freaking true, and ridiculously distasteful, frankly, when you're in the room listening to all these conversations, like, oh my God, you're embarrassing yourself. But this is what it's about. Look, when you're repped by a big agency, you're just a name on a list. They will not really, put you forward, put you up for open writing assignments. We have another video about that we can link to. They will not hustle for you. They will not even generally check in with you to see how you're doing. Nothing. They will do nothing. Now, you will proactively reach out to them and remind them of your existence while your, neurotic writer self becomes more and more frustrated because you haven't heard from your rep in, going on 6 weeks and what's going on. And they'll tell you a bunch of things and be pleasant to you on the phone or respond to your email. And then they'll give you a bunch of excuses if you're asking them directly. Questions like, hey, how about putting me up for this, that, and the other thing? Or maybe you can send this script to so-and-so producer. I think she might be interested. They'll give you excuses why they can't do that right now. That's generally how it goes when you're repped by a big agency.
And after a while of that happening, you know what's going to happen? They won't respond to you at all anymore. And you're like, wait a second, I thought I was repped by a big 3 agency. Huh?
Yeah, you'll eventually get kicked to the curb. Look, every 6 months they do the client review and they see who is earning money and who's not earning money. If you have not earned that agency any money, the agent can put his or her neck out for you and say, no, I want to keep this person around. And the agency will say, that's fine. You have the latitude to do that. And then 6 months later, they will review again. So as long as your relationship with that representative is positive, they'll be able to keep you on. But if the agent, for any reason, is thinking like, nah, this person's a waste of my time, I don't need to deal with this, they're too needy, they're too neurotic, the work that they're producing just isn't that, anything I can sell, or even worse, they're not producing any work, then they'll just say, hey, I'm sorry, the agency did their review and you haven't earned any money in the last 6 months, and we have to cut you loose. And boom, you're out the door. That's generally how it happens. Now, the exception is, of course, if you've earned any money, or you've gotten a bunch of meetings and there's some hype or some heat on you. Maybe your agent did send out your script as a writing sample. You got a bunch of meetings all through town, and you've got plates in the air. That's great.
And most of all, the feedback on you is good. The
And the
feedback
feedback
from
on
the
you. Yeah.
people that you're meeting with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you are amenable, if you are personable, if you are, someone who is a good team player, and willing to, work for free, develop stuff with, because a lot of the stuff that they will send you to is go meet with so and so producer, go meet with so and so director, and there's a project they may want you to develop with them, and then you get along great with that person, and guess what that means? That means you write a whole script for them for free based on their ideas. And if you do that with a smile and they like what you've done, they'll keep you around and they will potentially work for you. But bear in mind, lots of times that will blow up in your face. They may not like the work that you've done. They may kick you to the curb. Oh, there's so many things. Anyway, that's the problem with big agencies. So look, if you do get offered representation by a big agency, you're going to take it, right? There's very little chance that you will not take it unless you've gotten multiple offers and can pick and choose. And in which case, you may want to consider going for the rep who is the most passionate about you, regardless of the size of the agency or management company, right?
Yeah, of course. You want a hustler. You want someone who is actually going to go out there and hustle for you. You
Yeah.
want a partner in this battle. You want someone who goes, okay, I love this script. And if the first 5 people I send it to don't bite, well, send it to the next 5 people.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of projects, don't sell right away. Sometimes it could take years, especially anything that's, not like a genre movie, or, and anything that requires, some pushing of the boulder up the hill, a drama, a period piece, anything of social importance that might take time and finessing and building a package and all these other things that, you need someone who's willing to be that passionate advocate for you, not just the person who's like, well, I took my shot with it. I sent it out to a couple people, they passed. I can't do anything more with it. And so that's really the difference between the two types of reps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that brings us also to the personality of the rep that you're going to sign with, hopefully. Another thing the rep needs to be is a straight shooter. I mean, they need to be honest
Right.
with you, and you will not believe how incredibly rare that is in
Yeah.
Hollywood. Oh my God. Nobody ever tells you the truth. I mean, so the cliche, of course, is, oh yeah, we love it.
Yeah, we love you. We love it. We love you. We're absolutely on the Jim Surrill or Tanya Klein team, which is Hollywood talk for. Yeah, stop bothering me.
Exactly. So if you can find someone who is actually a straight shooter,
So,
stick to
so what
that
do we,
person.
so what do we mean by that exactly, right? So, look, you need to understand that when you do get an offer of representation, that's just the beginning, okay? What that generally means is this person is going to be working for you, hopefully for years, and hopefully over the course of several screenplays, and hopefully will be helping you to become the best possible writer that you can be. That means helping you develop your material. right? Which is something that managers are way better at, generally speaking, than agents. Agents, they don't care. They're salespeople. I sent the script out. That's what I do. I had some meetings with some guys and I connected the dots. That's what agents do. Managers supposedly develop, right? So a manager who is a straight shooter will tell you, script's not there yet. I think we should do another draft. And then you, because you're the good team player, have to listen carefully to those notes and understand them, see where they're coming from, and do your best to take those notes and work with that manager or producer or whoever it is to elevate the script to the next level, even if you disagree with those notes. Right. A lot of times you will. And then really weird thing happens as you're going through the notes and you're figuring out how to make them work. You suddenly decide, oh, you know what? That is actually better. Your knee-jerk reaction is always going to be, because it wasn't what you thought of in the first place. But, the manager is looking out for your best interests and trying to help you. So listen to them, work with them as a team. If you find that person who is willing to do that with you over the course of several drafts, that person is a winner, regardless of
Absolutely.
whether they're in a big management company or big agency or not.
And to put an even finer point on it, will they help you develop your material? Because in the olden days, that was kind of a given if you had a manager. They would
Yeah,
help you develop your material, would talk to you about, what direction to go into with, your future work or where your career is headed and all of that.
right.
And because of economic realities, that's really changed in the last 10 or so years
Yeah,
because managers need to keep the lights on. So
yeah,
basically, what they're looking for is okay, so here's a piece of material. I can send this out wide and possibly sell it right now, right this second. So they
yeah.
don't necessarily want to actually work with a writer, hone their craft, guide their career anymore. So if you
Yeah.
find someone who's willing to actually do that for you, good job.
Yeah, and we do have some of those people that we work with through GetRep now, and it's always refreshing when I check in with the managers and I say, "How's it going with so and so?" And they say, "Oh, great. We're doing another draft, and this person." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. This is now a year that you've been doing drafts with this person. Great. That's amazing. That's what you want. By the way, that may not be what the writer wants." But in the long run, this is what you need. And we also have some people on our Get Rep Now manager panel who are just like, give me something I can sell right now, like you just said. And they don't want to do any development. They can't do any development. They just want to sell something or option something so that they can make that mortgage payment this month. They're out there too. And you know what? They're good people too. It's just, that's the economic realities of where we're at right now in the biz.
Exactly. And that, speaking of the business, the next point is, are your representatives actually in the game? And what do we mean
Yeah,
by that? Yeah, so anybody can hang out a shingle and say, hi, I'm a manager now.
right.
So that doesn't actually mean anything. Basically, they still, if you have a representative, you want this representative to have connections. In
Yeah.
other words, this person has to be able to send out material and be taken seriously, or get you meetings, get you in the room with people you can pitch to. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure your manager is not somebody who just, rolled out of bed and said, okay, I'm going to be a manager today.
A while back, I got an offer of representation from a manager. She was she seemed great. She seemed really great on the surface. She repped a friend of mine, and he had good things to say about her. But my perception of her from the business lens was I didn't know anything about her. I never knew of any projects she had gotten set up. So I sent a query to another manager, friend of mine, who I've known a very long time, who very much is in the business. And I said, "Hey, so and so, I got this offer of representation from this person, blah, blah, blah. What do you think?" He sent me back a 4 word email response. Not in the game. That was all I needed to know. So this tells me this person who is taken seriously, the manager I reached out to, knows that this other person is not taken seriously by the business. If they're not taken seriously by the business, it doesn't matter. You can send out scripts all day long. You could be the nicest person. You could have the best of intentions. It's not going to matter. They're not going to take you seriously. It may have a little bit more weight than you sending in something cold by yourself, but maybe not. So, yeah, here's a good indication. First of all, are they located in Los Angeles, New York, London, and maybe Toronto? I mean, any large cities that have a notable film community. Okay. Do they have projects that you've heard of or anything that they've set up recently? Look, IMDb Pro. Just go to IMDb Pro. First of all, are they on IMDb Pro?
Yeah.
Like,
And
is
who
their
are
company
their
even
other
listed?
clients? Do they have other clients, and have these other clients done anything?
Yeah. And again, it's fine if they're small and scrappy, great, but where do they come from? Maybe this person who is interested in you has no big deals and no big clients, but they just they just left WME after 4 years and are now establishing their own book of business. Like, okay, this person probably knows everybody, So weigh all these things. But look, if they're not in LA, New York, et cetera, if someone in Tallahassee, Florida offers to represent you, I'm going to go with no.
Exactly. So basically, to wrap this up, the best rep for you is the person who is actually going to work for you and with you, the person who's going to go out there and hustle, the person who is going to be also honest with you, the person who is willing to actually push you, push your career, push your material, and respond to you when you send them an email.
Yeah. And by the way, there should be no fees up front, ever.
Yeah.
Never pay these people. Agents, 10%, managers, 10 or 15%. You want to go with a manager who charges 10% because that means they're used to working in the business. They're used to working with agents. So you want your 10, 10, 5, right? 10% agent, 10% manager, 5% lawyer. That's ultimately the arrangement that you want once you are established and in the game. But in the meantime, anybody who you can find who is willing to do some work for you and is passionate for you and knows what they're doing and is in the game, go for it.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching, folks. Hit that like button, please subscribe, and hit the notification bell because we drop several new videos a week and we try to make it stuff that you guys can actually get something out of. Where can people reach us, Tanya?
You can reach us at info@coverageinc.com.
Thanks for watching, people.